Hey guys, Pastor Wes here, Wednesday night. Hope you're doing well. We're still talking about the power of the cross and how the message of the cross simply is that God has enough power to turn the seemingly worst scenario into a victory in your life. God has enough power to turn your life around. He'll do anything within His means of power if you just trust Him. We've been talking about with the cross how we have the doctrine of death, but we also have the doctrine of the resurrection. And what we often fail to appeal to or really benefit from is the doctrine of the ascension. This is what we were talking about a little bit last week. Jesus didn't just rise from the dead. It didn't end there. He rose, was taken into heaven, seated at the right hand of the Father. And as we saw from Ephesians, He was placed far above all rule and authority and power and dominion in every name that is named, not only in this age, but also in the one to come. So not only did Jesus rise to heaven above all authority, above all power and dominion, but He also, what's so important is that He disarmed the enemies of God. And He disarmed sin's power over your life, meaning that when you give your life to Jesus Christ, that you're no longer a slave to sin any longer. You have a choice. You have to battle. It's a war between your flesh and your spirit, but you have a choice. You don't have to sin. We do sin, but we don't have to. We're not a slave to it anymore because of Jesus Christ. We read in Colossians where it says, in Colossians chapter 2, having canceled out the certificate of debt consisting of decrees against us, which was hostile to us, and He has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. When He had disarmed the rulers and authorities, I love this, He made a public display of them, having triumphed over them through Him. Listen to this. Whatever or whoever it is that you're dealing with in your life right now, know that it or they do not have the final say. They don't have the last word. No matter how big the problem is, no matter how mighty the person may be or seem, how powerful, how pushy they seem to be, you've got to know that as a believer in Jesus Christ, He is sitting far above all of it. He is positioned higher than all rule. He's positioned higher than all authority. He's greater than any dominion and more powerful than any earthly power that exists, and has been given a name that is above all names. You take the President of the United States. The President of the United States sits in what we know as the Oval Office of the White House. Yet, what he decrees from that Oval Office, no matter who the president is at the current time, whatever he decrees from that position of authority, that Oval Office decision, it can affect you right where you live, no matter where you live. In fact, his dictates can impact people halfway around the world. And the reason for that is because the president resides in a powerful location above all other powers located in our nation. If one man in one city can infect an entire nation or affect the entire world politically, what do you think that the King of Kings and Lord of Lords can do as He's sitting far above all earthly rule and authority? Consequently, whatever your enemy, whatever the opposition, whatever the circumstance or challenge has to say, understand it's just a word. But rest assured, it's not the final word. Your boss may have a word, but it's not the final word. Your doctor may have a word, but it's not the final word. Your finances may have a word. It's not the final word. Your emotions may have a word. But again, it's not the final word. What the cross accomplished for you, what the cross accomplished for me, is that it gave us what we call the authority of the believer, the believer's authority. And you've got to keep in mind that authority has to do with power, but authority does not simply mean power all on its own. Authority is the right to use the power that you possess. Authority is the right to use the power that you possess. We'll talk more about this next week. Until then, hope you have a great rest of your week, great weekend. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you next time.